Hello, friends. So, today I want to jump right into talking about something or an episode that I would title Surrender is to Look from What Is Seeing. And this one was inspired by something I read on Instagram by a creator called Philip Atter. And he wrote something on one of his recent Instagram posts, which I think I'll put in the show notes here. And on slide 4 of that particular post, he writes, modern therapy and coaching has us believe that we need to change our thoughts to change our reality. He then goes on to say, yet the deeper truth is that if we just embody the energy that our thoughts are made of, more embodied thoughts and actions will naturally be created by creation itself through us as a vessel of creation. And I thought that was so profound. And what I'm attempting to do with this particular episode is to shape this inspiration, what Philip here has expressed, to shape it in my own words, my own understanding, and my own experience. And I'm somehow hoping that whoever, if you're listening to this, you're probably not doing something very active. From a lot of what I'm going to be talking about here, this will need less of the intellectual space of mind and more the intuitive space of mind. So if you're doing something a little bit more passive, perhaps painting or maybe washing dishes, or you're taking a walk or something, you may be able to catch some of the pointers and the glimpses that I probably will be sharing from this episode. And I'm probably going to also end with a short meditation, probably a 15-minute meditation, just so you can embody, or you can see and experience some of the pointers that I would be sharing here. So generally speaking, we've been conditioned collectively to dwell in the space of our thoughts, to more or less lean into, or we've given so much power to thought that we forget reality. And what I mean by that is, if you check the average person on, how do they say it, has about 80,000 thoughts. Is that it? Out of the 80,000 thoughts, some of those become where we live, and we kind of dwell and get lost in our thoughts. And because we've done this so much, because we generally live in an intellectual world, it's hard for us to realize that reality does not exist in thought. Reality exists within uh within the within the our most direct experience. And sometimes our direct experience starts from our sensations or our senses. But there's something else that's more profound. When we spend more time within our direct experience, we may begin to understand what it means to see the divine. And when I talk about the divine, or when I talk about God, these are just labels for something else that's so evident. But once again, because we live in a world of thoughts, we drown ourselves in the world of thoughts, in the world of the dream. It's often difficult for us to know to see that which cannot be seen. And I know that's a very interesting play of words. In my journal today, I wrote, seeing the divine is interesting because the divine is everything. And what I mean by that is not that everything, oh yeah, the four walls. I'm not necessarily talking about, oh, the four walls of your house, or the trees outside, and the air, the rocks, and all the people are divine, even though that's all the divine. Instead, it's the very essence of which we can even perceive. So if you can see that you perceive, using this direction or what I'm pointing at here, if you know that you perceive, you're aware of perception. Where does that perception come from? I also wrote in my journal here that perception is created by the divine as the tool in which the divine sees itself, expresses itself, or even gets lost in itself. Do you see where I'm pointing to here? What is it that perceives, and what is perception? What's the tool of perception? What's the life that allows perception to be perception? If we if I say, for instance, that what we perceive is an illusion, and you say, no, what I perceive is reality, right? What is it that allows us to see both the illusory nature or the real nature of things? What is perception? Where does it stem from? Where's its source? So I write here, bringing one's attention to the divine, which itself is kind of weird. How can you bring attention to the thing that's that's actually seen? So I write, bringing one's attention to the divine is having that consciousness of all that moves and doesn't move being the work of the divine. What is it that moves? What is it that is form, that's named? What is it that we can perceive? What is it that we can hold on to? What are the things that we can bring our attention to? Those are forms. Those are things that that exist, and if we can perceive existence, that which perceives existence is on a different plane from existence. It's on a different level from that which exists. Do you see what do you see what I'm pointing to here? And so if we can perceive, if there is a source of perception, how can we then bring attention to that which perceives? I described this in my one of my Substack notes, where I wrote, the eyes can see objects, right? The eyes can see every object, but the eyes have never seen themselves, because once the eye sees itself, then the question is, what is it that's seeing the eye then? It's one of the reasons why it's so obvious that the mind would never be able to see God, because the mind is in God. uh, the mind cannot. I think this is one of the reasons why the idea of why we have the what do they call it, the hard problem of consciousness. I think that's what it's called. How can the subjects become an object? And so for us also, how can we embody, how can we see the source of all things when the source is in ourselves? So I write here, well, in my journal, just reflecting on that post from Philip Atter. I wrote in my journal, even my fears, they're currents blowing in the sea of forgetfulness of the illusory nature of experience. So when I experience, when I experience fear, for instance, what it really is the forgetfulness of that which I am. It's the it's not. I'm not trying to negate fear here to say fear is a bad thing and one shouldn't have fears. But fear itself is just the response of is the response of the mind to mental phenomena. No matter how calm the ocean is, when the wind blows, there's going to be ripples. It's just the activity of the ocean. So also seeing how fear manifests itself, it's yet the activity of consciousness. It's the activity of God. And so sometimes when we experience whatever we experience in this in our day-to-day mental plane of experience, we tend to rush into thoughts without pulling back to figure out what exactly or where exactly am I, who really am I, and what is it that experiences thought. So to read again what Philip Atter says is wrote here on that post, he writes, yeah, the deeper truth is that if we just embody the energy that our thoughts are made of, more embodied thoughts and actions will naturally be created by creation itself through us as vessels of the divine, or vessels of creation, that is. So for me, just even seeing that, it 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 prompts surrender. It prompts the it prompts the natural stance of surrender. And I would say that surrender is fully embodied when we can let go of our grip of control, not because we can, because I would even say the belief that you can surrender or not surrender itself is some form of illusion. So it's not that we let go of our grip of control, we just surrender. So just surrender and just drop everything, right? Because who is it that then surrenders? So it's not so much about the one trying to surrender. It's something of action. It's something of seeing. It's when we truly can see ourselves, when we can fully realize the flow of life, then we can see that flow is that of perfection, the perfection of all things. If you're outside in nature, if you're listening to this while taking a walk or something like that, just observe nature. Nature just doing what nature does. Our minds just doing what minds do. Reality just doing what reality does. All all doing it, all doing of its own self, all in God, all in the divine, all manifestations of the divine. But how do you even see what I'm pointing to, what I'm pointing at? It's I like to say there's a different way of seeing there's a not that it's a different way. There's a way to look from the center, to look from the divine as the divine. It's almost like bending. It's like, if you're going to look at an object really carefully, you may bend down and look at things from all sides and from all angles. What if we could metaphorically do the same with looking at our own existence, looking at our own aliveness, looking at the sort, like going beyond thought to that which witnesses thoughts, to see that which is looking, to see that all that appears is totally temporal. It's something that keeps moving. Everything that appears will disappear. The fact that it appears means it's temporary. It disappears. And if everything disappears, there's the thing that's looking at the change of phenomena, change of appearance and disappearance. that does not disappear. That is permanent. So to surrender then is to look, to be the watcher of that which is watching, to be awareness, to stay as the awareness of awareness. It sounds like a bunch of words, just poetic words, these philosophical words. But look deeply within your own experience. What is it that's looking? What is that aliveness? What is that even aliveness can be seen as an object, but that you're alive, that you are aware that the lights are on, right? What is it to be on? What is it to be alive? What is it to know that you are? What is that thing experientially, not intellectually here? Experientially, what is it? What is it? Isn't that awesome? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that mysterious? Isn't that perfection? Isn't that amazement? Doesn't that strike you with awe? Doesn't that make us see that those things that we worry about, that we cling on to, that we're anxious about, that they are just manifestations, things that plop up within the sphere of consciousness? Perhaps if we stop our rumination once again, not that we can just stop our rumination, because if we could, we wouldn't we? But it's still opening our eyes to see. And when we see, we can see that these ruminations, they're habits, they're really just habits and reactions of mind. And we are not the mind, we are not our thoughts, we are not our experiences. We are that which witnesses the coming and going of experience. And so for as long as we can remember, not remembering, once again, not remembering intellectually, but for as long as we can remember to pull back into that which observes, that which is aware, that which knows that it knows that it knows that it is, then perhaps seeing our experiences and our day-to-day experiences of life can be seen from a place of permanence, seeing that all that appears to us are just temporary. Now, once again, I want to say this is in no way bypassing. We are not bypassing anything. What we are doing is getting even more intimate with our experience, knowing that because it appears and disappears, we can then be fully engaged in activities, our day-to-day activities, fully knowing that they come and they go. And because they come and they go, we want to be part and parcel with our experience without fear. I hope this is landing for someone. And let's go into this from within our own direct experience, and I'll start us with a meditation here, probably a 10-minute meditation, and I'm going to be pointing directly to that which observes. See if you can witness this yourself more consciously. So if you can, Gently close your eyes and let go of the effort to do or be anything at all. Just witness your sensations. If you're sitting, the weight of your body against your chair. If you notice thoughts being thought, just notice what's being noticed. Notice your breathing. Notice even what occurs when you're trying to stop being. Now notice, as you notice your thoughts, sensations, and the perceptions that arise, I want you to notice an underlying stillness that may be behind all the thoughts, sensations, and perceptions. You may begin to notice that thoughts arise and they also pass like clouds in an open sky. Is there really a problem with a passing cloud? No, a passing cloud just passes. Now notice what happens if you catch a glimpse of the space between your thoughts. No need to overthink this. Just observe. Notice that a sound may arise. You may hear my words, maybe sounds from your environment. And with a sound coming up, a thought follows. And once in a while, as a thought follows, sensations appear. Now notice, did you create any of them? Do you own any of them? See how experience happens so effortlessly. So effortlessly that there doesn't seem to be a doer of any of the things that's being witnessed. Now, just simply watch. without thinking, without trying to make sense of this. See how you can just rest as the awareness in which all of this appears. Before you noticed this moment, were you not already here? Was awareness not ever present? Was awareness ever absent? Notice that everything that you see, everything you hear, or feel, or think, they appear in a space, in a wide open, borderless space. Notice that awareness itself has never changed. Now, feel your body. Notice its weight, its sensations. Now, gently turn your attention to that which is aware of the body. Does that which is aware have any weight? Does it have any shape? If your body has changed over time, does awareness change? Stay as that which watches. If you close your eyes, notice how the world disappears. If you open your eyes, the world appears again. If you close your eyes, the world disappears. But are you gone? If a thought vanishes, are you any less present? Find out who or what remains, no matter what comes and goes. And let's point to awareness, or this sense of aliveness, this embodied sense of being on, being alive, being here, being, I'll use the word sentient. Where does awareness begin? And where does it end? Feel the vast, borderless space of presence. Without a center, without an edge. Just notice just this, that which notices. And let yourself just dissolve into this openness. And with this, you can just gently open your eyes. All right, friends. Grace and peace be upon you.